There's a couple times when I got burnt out or someone said something on the internet that like offended me, and he was like, that's success. Like, you keep going. If people are hating you, you must be doing something right, which is just crazy. But the internet's a weird place.
So we were chatting a little bit before we started here about how I even know who you are. It's literally from my wife sending me a TikTok video like 4 years ago, because we live on the St. Croix River, so we're out there all the time having lots of fun. And it was like a video of you and your now as a fiance, right, Travis? Yeah, singing on the back of a jet ski, just driving through the no-wake zone in Prescott.
Yep.
Right, and a lot of my wife's family's from Prescott. Like, so there's a lot of connection like on that. And yeah, it just reminded me of myself, like when I was younger, and like you guys were like super viral in that moment too, on TikTok, weren't you?
Because of the river, yes.
Yeah.
It was, I think, at that time in the world, we had just went through all the shutdowns with COVID, and Wisconsin kind of opened back up softly. We were having a lot of people come to the bars from like 4 hours away because everything was closed down in Minnesota. So we were like the closest border town. And I didn't have much to do that year. So we really spent a ton of time out on the river and in the bar. And it was a really good time. And I think just taking the videos of everything that we were doing, people just kind of ate it up because there was nothing. Everyone was locked down, things that were happening in other parts of the country where it was like way more strict than it was here. And we were just kind of like a light for people and like, look at, you guys don't have very much, but you're making the time of your lives out of it. And that we sang a one-way ticket video on a boat. And that kind of started a lot of stuff for us.
It did. Were you a realtor back then? So that was 2020?
That was my first year.
How many followers you got on social media?
Like combined?
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know, 200,000. Like not crazy, but.
Yeah, still pretty good.
Good numbers,
right?
yeah.
How about Travis? How many does he have?
He has, I think, 750,000, 700 something.
Yeah, so there's some real opportunity there.
Yeah.
On that. Oh, yeah, for both of you guys, 1 million together.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like that's a big footprint. I have no idea how you monetize that, but I'm sure there's like some pretty cool ways you can do it. So, so that gives you great exposure, but that's not local necessarily, right?
Not necessarily. I try to keep, for real estate, my bread and butter is Facebook. And then I do a little bit more of my personal stuff on Instagram. That's where I dump a lot of my photos. And then I do more videos, not necessarily real estate related, but more parody real estate on TikTok sometimes. TikTok's a weird place, but yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Hey, I got a new phone. I couldn't even download TikTok, so I don't know what's going on.
I just saw this morning. It's available in the App Store.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for
You're back in it.
Now we're back in the game. So that's, like it's kind of interesting. The social media world and local real estate, it can be a hard transition. So you get this mega following, but it's most people struggle to be able to turn that into actual impressions for deals.
Yep.
Right. Like that. It's just different.
Yeah. I may not be necessarily marketing to my direct buyer pool here in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area, but I am still getting my name out there, and the algorithm does land in people's, you guys are both from Wisconsin, you guys are both from Minnesota. And so I have picked up a handful of clients, but I'm not like pulling in everybody from social media, which is fine. Yeah. It's okay. So.
That's cool. So that's fun. Right?
Yeah. It is what it is. It's free marketing, and I really think you're slacking if you're not doing it. Why would you not want to get your name out there for free, especially in a business where we all work on commission and word of mouth? So
congratulations on making it through the first 5 years.
Thank you.
Which can be the hardest, but the little secret for you is it never stops.
Yeah.
The grind never ends.
No, it doesn't.
Day, right? In our business, always trying to find the next client or getting over the hurdle, putting out a fire for someone else.
Yeah.
Gaining clients. It never ends.
No, someone told me every day that you don't have a contract in your hand, you're unemployed. And so I've really held on to that like I'm unemployed every single day until I have that contract in my hand, and that keeps me going. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so you've been working with Grant Johnson the entire time, right?
Yes. So when I had applied for all those 40 jobs on Indeed, I had like 3 or 4 callbacks, and one of them was from Grant Johnson's team, but they weren't called Grant Johnson at that time. They were called Live Realty. And his kind of co-founder, Amber Erlacher, she gave me a phone call, and she was very zesty and peppy and super excited. I could hear she was like in the grocery store when she called me, and she was like, I would love for you to come and interview with us. And I was very excited, but I kept thinking, I don't remember applying for a Live Realty team. Like, I was doing the big names. I was applying for Keller Williams. I was applying for Coldwell, Remax Results. And they were a smaller team of Remax Results. And so when she had called me back, I thought, this is crazy. And then I went back. And this is kind of where, like, just again, like more fate comes in. I remember sitting on my staircase, and I was talking to my fiance, and I said, dude, I've applied for 40 jobs and no one has called me back. This is crazy. And I was showing him my phone, and he just reached down and went, what about that one? And I was like, screw it, send them my application. And it ended up being them. So I never even clicked on it. Like, I never remember clicking to apply for them. But then thinking back, I was like, that was the one.
Travis clicks a button. Right, like,
yeah.
This man's like, just go this way, turn right.
It's fate, yeah.
Yeah, that's super funny. So
yeah, he was the pivotal influence on how I got started in real estate, and he knows it, but he'll never take credit for it. But I wouldn't be where I am, of course, without him, and even giving me the encouragement to keep doing everything that I'm doing. And helping me with social media. I mean, there's a couple times when I got burnt out, or someone said something on the internet that like offended me, and he was like, oh, that's success. Like, you keep going. If people are hating you, you must be doing something right. So, which is just crazy. But the internet's a weird place. But yeah, I started with the Grant Johnson group, and it was very nice having these older, I've always called them my mentors, because they really, I hate to say like I was like their little prodigy, but they really, this is all the information from years and years, and they've just poured it on me. And I never felt like we were ever at competition with each other. There's room for everyone at the top. We don't have too much pride to, not clap for you. We clap for everyone, and it's always been that way. And it's just a very uplifting team overall. And now our team has like, I think over 70 some agents. And so it was cool to be there from the beginning when we were super excited to sell, 150 houses a year. And now I think we were just shy of 500 this year. So that was cool.
So that team's growing immensely while you're growing right along with it.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. We've picked up some cool things over the last couple years. We auditioned for the Zillow Flex, and we got that. So that's been tremendous in our success. I think there's only 6 teams in the whole state of Minnesota that are eligible and that qualified for it. And we were one of them. And so it's been cool to see even other agents come onto our team and start being tenfold more successful than they were with anyone else. And it's just, at the end of the day, we want everyone to succeed.
So where's your focus? Where do you focus most of your real estate sales?
I was originally out of Minnesota and the Twin Cities, and then I immediately went back and got my Wisconsin real estate license. And that, I'm so thankful I did, because that ended up taking like all of my business. I do most of my business in the western Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota area. So I like to say like the St. Croix Valley there, all the way down the river, St. Croix County, Pierce County, even down to Pepin, some parts of Buffalo County. Yeah, everything really like Eau Claire and over.
Okay. That's a huge focus of my business, that area, from growing up in Hudson, Wisconsin too.
Yep.
Right? So I have a lot of relationships and real estate connections, and just know the area because that's where I grew up. So there's just something different about knowing where I'm lending in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I know that house. And they're like,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I just know the address. I know who used to live there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not that populated, right, for St. Croix and Polk County.
Yeah.
And so Also, St. Croix and Polk County have blown up in the last 5 years. Like, it's really interesting how quick the values went up there compared to other areas.
Yeah, I would agree. And I also think, even given there's a multitude of reasons why I think people want to come over onto this western Wisconsin side, even from Minnesota. I often make the joke that I've never moved anyone from Wisconsin to Minnesota. I've always moved people from Minnesota to Wisconsin. And I think, that 94 corridor and the new Stillwater Bridge and all the easy access points, even just coming down into Prescott, it's so easy to commute to like a job in the cities, so to say, that I think the secret's kind of out, and these towns are booming. New Richmond is huge. They've got developments going up all over often. And I think that has something to do with that new bridge being put in. And also, I mean, even I think when I first started, you could find fairly cheap houses in like Baldwin and Hammond. And now they're just as expensive as, a house you would find in Hudson, or you're in, I think, like higher priced areas like Stillwater. And the secret's out. You get a little bit better bang for your buck. You might have a yard and you don't have to stare at your neighbors when you're doing dishes or anything like that. You got a little space between the houses. So I think it's a great option for anyone looking to be still accessible to the Twin Cities, but you have, grass in your yard, and you might get a couple acres or, more space. Also, with the older generation, I would say they get a little bit of tax break on the Wisconsin side. So I hear that a lot. That's another reason why people move over to this side, is taxes.
Yeah, I hear it all the time on helping people, especially if they're from Wisconsin and they didn't live there before. For people that are watching the podcast that aren't aware of where we are, you have the giant Twin Cities metro area, which is like 3 million people. And the line for Wisconsin and Minnesota, which I live directly on it. Mm-hmm. I live on the Minnesota side and I look across to Wisconsin, and it's just outside the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
From downtown St. Paul, the line's 20 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's really not very far. I think hybrid work environment changed a lot.
Yeah.
Or work from home, because you could live in Woodbury or Lake Como, which is kind of more expensive, or you go just a little bit farther out and it's more affordable. And like you're saying, maybe the house price is the same, you just get way more bang for your buck. And if you only got to drive to your job 2 or 3 days a week, you're like, yeah, I'll drive a little farther.
Yeah.
Right. To be able to have my money go farther.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And something I think is interesting, Hudson, is last time I looked, had a higher median sale price in Woodbury. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because I've been doing this for 20 years. And most of my career, it was like, if people were heading east, they're like, I'll stop. Woodbury, we're going to shop at Woodbury first. Yep. Hudson second, because it's on the other side of the border. But they are 10, 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to me on how many people pushed to live in Hudson, because it's got the cool downtown, right? Which is
charming.
It's very charming, right? Just kind of like downtown Stillwater. So, but you're across the border. There's tax reasons why people want to live there too. Lower state income tax.
Yep.
In Wisconsin.
Cheaper drinks overall.
Cheaper drinks, right? Just a cooler place to live. Like Woodbury is like the epitome of the new suburb, mm-hmm. which has so many great 5-minute city type things. Everything's 5 minutes away, but honestly, it's very generic.
Yeah, I saw you guys just have the transit system coming in now.
Yeah, right out front here.
Yeah,
right in
I saw
front
that.
of yeah. So going right straight to downtown St. Paul and Minneapolis for the high-speed express bus. Yeah, there's nothing like that over in Hudson. You're gonna have to drive yourself.
Yeah.
Right, you're driving yourself. You got to get on the bus over here. So,
yeah, I don't even think they have Ubers over there anymore, because it was a conflict of interest for the taxi drivers that were in town. Mm-hmm. So I know you can't get an Uber in Prescott. I don't know if you can get an Uber in River Falls, but they have their own taxi system too. So
yeah, so it's small town problems. So
small
this is
town
the kind
problem,
of
yeah. You have to call 5 rides to get it.
So the cool part is you get to hit up all these Western Wisconsin small towns, which I love. But you're accessible to a major metropolitan area, 45 minutes from an airport, right? And there's actually like cool loan programs. Like, have you helped very many clients use a USDA loan?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, which is available only in certain populated areas in Western Wisconsin. Like Hudson doesn't qualify. I believe River Falls doesn't qualify now, but everywhere else does.
Yep.
That's zero down. So for your first time home buyers, because you work with a lot of first time home buyers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's awesome. You can get seller paid concessions and actually buy a house with no money down.
Yeah, that was actually the epitome of why I ended up in Prescott in the first place. Was my mom was a victim of the 2008 crash, and she had to go through a short sale. It was really a devastating time for our family, but she ended up qualifying for that USDA loan, and it was only available in Prescott. And so we landed there, and we stayed there for 10 years, and I loved it. So
that's awesome. So. Yeah, my wife's family is off in Prescott, downtown Prescott. Mercord Mill Park is my wife's great grandpa.
Okay.
That park. So, because she's a Mercord. So
nice.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of them there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of the Mercords down there. But cool. So right now for you, like in real estate, what are you focusing on for helping your buyers? So it's early spring. 2025, right? We're kind of still in like the quiet time, right? And I think that it's a little extra quiet post-election, right? And people are kind of still trying to, like I don't want to get political, but you got Trump doing these tariff things, so it gets people weirded out a little bit. If you got a federal job, or is that going to change my job? Rates kind of a little bump in rates, right? I feel like there's a pause, and then we're going to let the lion out of the cage. Right?
I'm already seeing it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you already seeing multiples?
Yeah, just lost last weekend in multiples.
Yeah.
And we went over asking.
You did?
And we lost by someone that covered their appraisal gap.
Okay. Which is common. It's a common strategy to use.
It was.
Tough for first-time homebuyers, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So how do we help first-time homebuyers? Because if we look at market segments right now, this is my opinion, it seems like the upper bracket is normal. Middle bracket, it seems a tad slow. First time home buyer bracket, like under our market's under 400. Like that never ends.
No, they're always trying to get in.
Yeah.
I don't blame
it's always
them.
hot. So if we're looking at these first time home buyers, which is now the average age is 38, which is wild.
It is wild.
Like how do we help them get into a house when we know it's going to be competitive?
I think it's preparation. I mean, start looking earlier than you think you want to look. If your lease ends in a year, it's a perfect time to go get a soft approval. Maybe you have something on your, debt that you didn't really know about. I know the first time, and I say first time, we got approved. I think Travis had a cable bill from college that never got paid. And he was like, what? I will pay this today. I didn't even know this was on here, but it had been hurting his credit score. And so I think just preparing yourself, getting pre-approved, start saving. If you have parents that could potentially co-sign for you or give you a gift of funds, anything like that is going to help you. And I think a majority of the first-time homebuyers do get help like that if you don't have the savings or the credit score. But yeah, and then start looking in areas and honestly be realistic. Is this going to be your forever home? Do you need all these things on your wants versus your needs? Or are you really just trying to get into a place where you don't have to move every year and your lease isn't going to end and your lease isn't going to go up and you can just have that stability? But I think it's preparation. I see a lot of my first time home buyers, no one's like just jumping into the home buying market. They're feeling it out. They're watching the market, but a lot of potentially have waited a little bit too long, where maybe 5 years ago they were like, couldn't find a house, but they were pre-approved, and now that interest rates went up, they potentially have a little more buying power than they did, and they're waiting for the interest rates to come back down. And I keep telling them that is like not the play. Like go in soon. You don't have to go right now, but like go in sooner than interest rates come down, because if they come down, of course, we're going to see another buying frenzy. And if
do you know the rate trend right now? Have you heard what the latest 3-year trend is?
I have heard some rumbles.
Yeah, so I just read it yesterday. Mortgage Bankers Association, this is good for everybody to know and your buyers to know, they came out with their 3-year rate prediction. So our industry association, which they're usually conservative, okay? So they said average interest rate for 2025, they thought was going to be about 6.6%. Average interest rate for 2026, 6.4%. Average interest rate for 2027, 6.4%.
Yeah.
So our industry experts and economists, their belief is rates aren't going to come down.
No.
So if you're waiting, it's like you've already waited 3 years.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years, right? Like the rates have been up.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing's going to happen.
No, and historically, we usually see like a 4% increase in value in homes every single year. And so you're potentially trying to wait it out to save a couple $100s a month. Well, in reality, you're going to end up buying the house for way more than it's going to be today. Yes, we've had some, little market checks, but house values have always gone up. So you can buy today or you can buy in 5 years, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive in 5 years.
Yeah, man, we were just talking about this yesterday. So I did an exercise of if you buy a $300,000 house and it goes up 3% a year for 5 years, that house is worth about $350,000.
Yep.
It's just kind of like the law of large numbers. The numbers are already so big, 3% is like a lot.
Yeah.
So because I got feedback from someone and it made me like process this, that they were going to liquidate a 401k. And then I hear some people say they get that look, oh, you shouldn't do that. But now I just told you the average first-time homebuyer is 38 years old. So they have a 401k.
Yeah.
But they may not have a lot of cash, right? But they've saved 50 or 100 grand in their 401k. And a lot of them have like abandoned 401ks. Like I left this employer. It's like sitting somewhere. I don't even know where it is, but I got 10 grand here and 20 grand here. And like, over 15 years of savings, you start having these little investment accounts all over the place, but they still haven't bought a house. But now they're paying big money for the rent, right? Because as they get older, they're upgrading their rent.
Yep.
So it's like $2,500, $3,000 a month. This is like, I'm seeing it all the time. And it was like, I don't think it's a smart idea to liquidate my 10 or 12 grand out of a 401k because I got to pay a 20% tax and a 10% penalty.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's like $3-4 grand. Now, I do understand that investment can compound over time, but you're taking that penalty that you have to pay and you're investing it in something.
Right.
So that was the practice. It's like, okay, you buy the $300,000 house, 3% down, that's $9 grand.
Right.
Right. So you pull 12, you pay $3 grand in penalties and taxes, you get 9. So you lost $3 grand. Yep. That sucks. But at the 3%, that's where we did the 3%, right? It's like 3, 5 years in a row. It's like, okay, your $3,000 loss turned into 50 grand in equity.
Yeah.
Like what a smart move.
Right.
Right. And I think sometimes we just got to literally break that down for our clients because they don't understand they're missing out on the wealth effect.
Yeah, it's definitely, crunch your numbers, everything, even down to like refinancing. Is it going to make sense to you? But I think with that preparation that I tell my first time home buyers to have is, shop around. And then also, we're entertaining things like the 2-1 buy downs right now and seller paid concessions. And that's going to save you a lot of that liquid cash. And if you're able to find that right house that, maybe you got a little bit off the asking price and you're also able to get your seller concessions paid for, and you don't really have to bring a whole lot to the table. I had a girl last year that got paid to buy the house. She got money back after closing between like government programs and everything. And she was like, I got like $4 grand back when it was all said and done. She didn't have to bring $1 to the table. And that's.
I got to hear about this loan program.
Get her in there. Yeah. It was like a small town Maiden Rock area, but just things that, and she got a new roof out of the deal. So just things that, whatever your situation is, but yes, entertaining things like potentially taking some, not all your funds, but some of your funds out of your 401k, because I do think the biggest thing is buying dirt and buying real estate that is going to continue to appreciate over time. So
for sure. So what do you think? So when you're out showing buyers, like what are you really good at? what do you like this? I'm amazing at this when I'm helping my buyers make an offer and negotiate.
Educating. I have a brain where I just hold on to a lot of stupid facts. And so I'm pretty good about like, oh, this could happen or this could happen. And just letting them, I give them all the information and then I ask like what they want to do. And so I'm guiding them, but I'm not, we're going to do this and you're going to have to come up with this. I give them all the options. This is what a lot of my clients do, but these are also your options. And I'm also, I feel like I've got a good way with words for negotiations. I feel like the last couple of years I've been able to get a lot of things done for my clients, whether it was like all the work done on the inspection report. I mean, new roofs, new electrical boxes, new electrical throughout. Just, I really focus on how can we get the best deal for the house, but also get you the house in general. And then anything that would affect your like health and safety, like we're going to have that done first so you can just move in and you don't have to worry about anything like that. So, but I would say my strong suits is educating them.
So I got a couple questions for you in wrapping this up. Selfish questions for me.
Sure.
Right? So you're a social media queen. I feel like you probably secretly helped Travis build his too. As we're building our social media following, what are some things that you guys did that applies to anybody's social media? So you guys kind of had like musical genre, but fun viral videos. Is there certain things that you have just seen that work over and over again?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that make a video trend?
Yeah, I think it's like putting your personality into it. And I know when I had first started off in real estate, I was really worried about, not like I've ever had a bad reputation in my life, but I didn't want anything to taint anyone's perception of me. So I was really nervous about showing like my true authentic self. And so I didn't for a while. I really kept like my personal life and my real estate life like very separate. And then once I started to mix the two on social media, I saw that's where my success started to come from. People don't choose you because, you know, you've got really good ratings or they can get you the most amount of money or something like that. They choose you because you're personable, you're likable, they can relate to you, they're comfortable with you, they feel like you're advising them very well. And that's was a pivotal moment when I started to put my personality into my real estate. And your vibe attracts your tribe. And I really started to get the return on that. Just like my clients are very much like me as well, or their friends are like me or know me, like me, trust me type of thing. And so they, you know, give them good words and she's going to take care of you. And so I think one thing I see a lot of real estate agents not doing, they give a lot of facts, and, you know, anyone can share market statistics. Anyone can put, you know, a cute little video together about the pros and cons of home buying or whatever. But who are you? You know, how do they know they're going to come to you just because you pulled some statistics off the internet? Like, they want to see your dog. They want to know what you're doing on the weekends. Where do you like to hang out? Who are your friends? Like, what do you like to do? And it's still, of course, there's a fine line still even at that, where you don't want to be too personal because then you kind of lose sight of your business. But I think definitely mixing your lives together, because it's too hard to keep them separate, and you're never really gonna let the people know who you are if you try to do that. So
I could continue talking to you, I feel like, for another hour, but we got a limited amount of time. So I really, really valued, you know, you sharing a little bit about yourself. And is there a quick plug you want to put out there for why people want to reach out to you?
I'm your home girl, Minnesota and Wisconsin. I don't discriminate against Vikings fans. I'll still help you. I'm just kidding. I'm not very much into the sports or any sports. Well, I do like the Wild. Anyways, my final plug would just be that I serve both sides of the river. I'm very educated in both markets, and yeah, I've always got time for people. So
perfect. Well, thank you so much, Carolyn, for your time. I really, really
appreciate it. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.